G'day everyone, I'm David Reedy. Welcome to Piano Finally, a podcast by an old bloke who's getting around to learning the piano. Finally. Welcome to show number 74. Thank you very much for listening. If you're back for another episode, then thanks for returning. If this is the first time you're hearing the podcast, I hope you enjoy what's in the show. And don't forget to subscribe if you do like it. Are you learning a musical instrument too? If you are, let me know how you're going with it. You can contact me at david@pianofinally.show. Sorry there was a bit of a problem with last week's episode. I used Cubase from Steinberg to put the show together, and I've upgraded to the latest version. Somehow, I managed to turn off the track that has the short pieces of the crab canon between the parts of the podcast, so it was missing. I think the rest of the audio was fine. Normally, I listen to the show on Monday morning after I post it, so I don't hear the problems until it's too late. I'll change the way I do things and have a listen before I push the Go Live button. We're into the last 3 teaching weeks of the school year, and if all goes well, by the time you hear this episode, I will have finished all the final marking for the year. There are still some reports to write, but there should be a bit more time for the piano. There are a number of YouTube presenters who analyse pieces of music. David Bennett analyses a lot of contemporary music, pop music in particular, and it is through him and the Axis of Awesome that I know about the standard 4-chord progression used in an awful lot of pop music. So I was interested when I saw a 4-chord reference in a video by Charles Cornell. Charles Cornell is one of the people behind the Better Piano website. The website offers online courses and will soon also have one-on-one lessons available. Charles is also the author of Jazz Piano Improv, an ebook that teaches jazz improvisation over provided backing tracks. The video is entitled Beethoven Literally Used 4 Chords to Write Für Elise, and it starts with a brief discussion of the key that Für Elise is in, A minor, followed by Charles explaining the time signature, which is 3/8. The piece is written with semiquavers, 16th notes, so my background in maths makes me wonder why it couldn't have been written with quavers in 3/4 time, as mathematically they are the same. Charles explains what it is that Beethoven is communicating about the piece by using this time signature. Briefly, he doesn't want it to sound like a waltz. An analysis of the chords used in the opening bars follows, with Charles working through the A minor to E section, and then the C and G section, looking at the relationships and the theory behind the progression. The discussion is quite thorough, almost note by note, and is an example of the analysis that Charles provides in an upcoming product from Better Music, which he teases during the video. The video was brought out in the run-up to the release of the product and the Black Friday sales for the year. I'll have a look at them in more detail when they're announced before recommending them or otherwise. The breakdown of the piece is really interesting and informative if you're learning the piece and you want to get past just remembering the notes. Seeing what it is that Beethoven is trying to do with the way the piece is written will help in how you ultimately play it. If you like Beethoven and this particular piece, the video is well worth watching. There's a link in the show notes. Unexpected benefits. The main benefit of learning to play the piano is being able to play the piano. Or is it? Clearly, when someone, especially when that someone is an adult, sets out to learn a musical instrument, their intention is to learn the skills needed to make music with it, to a level that they're happy with. The benefit being that they can then make music whenever they wish. I'm going to suggest that although that may be their intention, becoming proficient in the skill is not the main benefit. There are many more. So what are these unexpected benefits? Firstly, I'd say that it gets me out of the house a lot more. That might seem strange, as the piano is now a permanent fixture in the lounge room and is certainly not portable, but it's true. Once a week, I go to my piano lesson. That's in a town not far from where I live, but not a town I would normally visit. When I first started, lessons meant that I visited the Penrith Conservatorium each week, a building I had only ever driven past before. And of course, the recent trip to Bathurst for the Out West Piano Fest was well outside of the house. And there were also all the extra trips to buy music and books and look at instruments. Then, once you're out of the house, you find more things. As I tend to avoid advertising as much as possible, there are things going on that I don't find out about. Being at the Conservatorium meant that I saw their posters for upcoming performances and ended up on their mailing list. So I've now been to performances there, both for music and drama. Learning has also made me more aware of the music going on around me. The banners across the highway for the Blue Mountains Musical Society were suddenly relevant. For many years I had just driven under them. I've now been to see their last 3 productions and intend to keep going now that I've seen just how good they are. If I weren't learning, I might have just kept driving under them. Keeping up with local music also got me back in touch with the Sydney Symphony Orchestra. I'd grown up with the orchestra, and when I was at university, had been able to take advantage of their heavily discounted subscriptions for students. But I hadn't been to one of their concerts in many years. Seeing that pianists such as Daniel Trifonov, Sir Stephen Huff, and Nobuyuki Tsuji were performing with them got me interested enough to get a subscription for this year, and that has led to going to the pre-concert talks and learning a lot more about composition and composers. A music episode of the podcast The Rest is History got me interested in that show, and it has now become part of my regular weekly podcast listening. The show is mostly straight history, though some musical information often gets mixed in, such as King Henry VIII's compositions and his musical ability. I probably wouldn't have found the show except for their musical episode, and now my knowledge of history is increasing. And of course, there are the people. Getting out to various musical events means meeting other like-minded people. Even if it's just a casual chat while waiting for the pre-concert talk to begin in the foyer of the Opera House, to the much more in-depth conversations that took place over meals at the Out West Piano Fest, deciding to learn the piano has given me the opportunity to meet a lot of new people. The decision to begin learning the piano has led to so many more experiences and opportunities than I had imagined it would when I first stopped in that piano shop. I don't think that this is unique to music. I think something similar might happen with many pastimes that involve interacting with other people. But music is special. It's meant to be shared. And so pursuing it will inevitably lead to chances to interact with people you don't know yet. It has been said that it becomes harder to meet new people as we get older, but taking on something new that is both challenging and fun is a pretty good way to get out and about. It's perhaps the most unexpected benefit I have found in taking up learning as an adult. In my recent buying spree, I bought a copy of Chopin's complete preludes, nocturnes and waltzes. This book is another one of those aspirational purchases. At this stage of my piano learning, I don't have any hope of playing any of the pieces in this book in full, perhaps with one exception. That piece is the A major prelude, opus 27, number 7, and it is on my list of pieces to add to my repertoire eventually. It would be nice to be able to say that I can play Chopin, even if it is his shortest piece. The book is another one of the collections published by Schirmer. If you're interested, it's their volume number 2056. Unlike last episode's Beethoven book, this one does have an identified editor. It's Raphael Josephi, a Hungarian-born pianist who settled in New York in the 19th century and who became a noted Chopin interpreter. He is also responsible for the fingering numbers in the score. The book includes a brief historical introduction to the composer and his works. It's very brief, and if you want to know more, I'm sure that there are many other fine works from which to choose. The collection contains 26 preludes, 21 nocturnes and 19 waltzes. The printing is clear, although once again it appears that older engravings have been used in the preparation of the book, but they're better than the ones in the Beethoven collection and are easy to follow. There are no notes accompanying the pieces, so it would appear that Mr. Josephi's contribution is limited to the fingering and other markings in the scores themselves. The book is perfect bound, and it will stay open on the music stand, but only with some assistance, as it is 248 pages long and so quite thick. I bought my copy from Music Junction. It cost $48.95 Australian dollars, and it seems pretty good value for the 66 pieces. I'll put a link in the show notes to the book and an Amazon link if you can't get it at one of your local shops. Neither link is an affiliate link. This coming week is set aside for report writing. It's the last major task of the school year, although there are still 3 weeks of lessons to go. Once the reports are done, there's a bit of checking to do, but then I'll have my evenings back to get some extra practice in. Those next bars of the Moonlight Sonata look promising. If you'd like to contact me, email is the best way. You'll find me at david@pianofinally.show and the website at www.pianofinally.show. In both cases, Piano Finally is all one word. The show is also available on Spotify and as an audio-only stream on YouTube. You can subscribe via any popular iOS or Android podcast application or from directories such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. I also post an excerpt and link for each episode as an Instagram reel. If you're learning an instrument, let me know where you are in your journey, what's going well, and what are the challenges, how are you managing your time, and what pieces are you enjoying learning the most. And so, until next week, I hope your piano stays in tune and you enjoy your time at the keys. I'm continuing to work on the beginning of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. It's not quite as even as I'd like, and I'm still using the score, but I'm making some progress. I am still really enjoying working on the piece. We've arrived at the piece where the melody begins, the melody that is played with just the right-hand little finger. The aim is to get that finger to sound loudest when 3 other right-hand fingers are playing an arpeggio. I'm working on just getting the notes right at the moment. I'm keeping the dynamics in mind, but I'm not too worried that they aren't happening yet. When Anne Rossi's A Wild Chase is coming along, I can now play the piece mostly from memory. I'm still working on getting it even, and to that end, I've got the drum machine I use in place of a metronome back on the piano. I need to get back into the habit of using a steady beat, so I have the tempo set very slow at the moment, even slower than I had been playing it. Slowly building up speed over the coming weeks is the aim. The music was recorded using the Kawai NV10 as the keyboard, the M4 Pro Mac Mini running Cubase 15 and Pianotech 9, with Pianotech emulating a Siguro Kawai SKEX Grand Piano in concert mode.